Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of e-commerce live by eCommerce, the place of everything related to Amazon FBA and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of eCommerce, and today we bring you a very special guest. Her name is Jana, and she's the CEO and founder of ELT Translations, which is an amazing agency where they specialize on everything that has to do with listings, optimization, and translations when you're expanding overseas. So, what a better person actually to discuss today's topic, which is around global expansion. We're going to be touching about how you can basically expand your product to other marketplaces and what are some of the mistakes you should be avoiding. So it's a pleasure to have you here, Jana. Thank you very much for coming. How you doing today?
Hi, Vincenzo. First of all, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I've seen other episodes. We had like tons of guests. I'm really honored to be among those like ecom experts you invited to be on and share my knowledge today with you and your audience.
Yeah, thank you for coming. I mean, to be honest, I have been following your work for a long time now, and I love what you do, the strategies, and whenever you speak on stage as well, I love all the presentations. So I think you're gonna for
Thank
sure
you.
share a lot of nuggets today to the Amazon community. So
Absolutely.
before we jump into the topic today, I usually like to use a couple of minutes before of the episode, to learn about our guests, right? So I would like to hear about you, how you got started into e-commerce and how you landed into basically also found this amazing agency GLT translations. So let's go from there. Yeah.
Sure. So I founded YLT about 4 years ago, and this is my first business, and I've never thought that I would have become a business owner if you asked me like 10 years ago. Before that, I was working for about 8 years in one of the biggest e-commerces in Europe, and I was their COO, and this is where I've learned everything about e-commerce because this was my first actual like first real job like after university.
Yeah.
And so my background is languages. I got bachelor's and master's in Norwegian, Swedish, German, and English.
Wow.
And I got like into e-commerce when I was 21, and I found it really, really excited. And I was really grateful to have an opportunity to learn about how to build an e-com store from scratch and like everything that goes with it. And this
Yeah.
is also how my path crossed with Amazon basically. This e-commerce was a very big store. About I think they have like 100,000 products, and then they didn't care much about their Amazon account because that was not their primary channel for
That's
sales. So
fair.
I kind of played around with it a little bit, and I saw that their international sales were not doing so well. So I just asked a couple of people from the customer service department that were native to just do a translation a little bit, do the keywords from the, like keyword panel, Google AdWords, because 10 years ago we didn't have all these amazing tools as we have right now, like
Yeah.
Helium 10 or Data Dive. And after that, we started seeing some impressions and sales started picking up. And then I was just like, this is very, very interesting. And
Yeah.
then a couple of years after that, I decided to quit my job. And then I just wanted to start something on my own. And I just wanted to like combine my two passions, which were e-commerce and languages. And I came to an idea to start an e-commerce translation agency. Basically, everything related with e-com,
Yeah.
we handled it, not Amazon specifically, but also like a bunch of other things. And then in time, we niched down to Amazon only, which is now basically 90% of our revenue comes from Amazon sellers and big
Wow.
Amazon brands that expand internationally.
Wow. What a journey. Congrats on that. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
it.
it's
Yeah,
very
I think
challenging. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to be honest, you found a very good niche, translations and basically helping these people expand overseas because I feel like 5 6 years ago most people when they were selling on Amazon they were just basically copy pasting Google translation and that's it, but we know that doesn't work anymore, and translation is as a must now when you're expanding internationally, and that's definitely something that you need to do if you want to scale your business besides your home country. And that's something I would like to actually start basically bringing to the table, which is whenever we talk about a global expansion, most people think that it's basically, as I just said, just translating your listing as it is, most of the time in English, to Spanish, Italian, German, you name it, copy pasted and not make any kind of localization, which is a huge mistake. So I would like to hear
Yeah.
what is your take on here. I want some of your advices around that topic. Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. So it's interesting that you say that, like 5, 6 years ago, people used to, use Google Translate and translate their listings automatically. Well, unfortunately, it's still pretty much
Yeah,
the same
I know.
nowadays. That's why we have a lot of work because people still use
Yeah.
it, unfortunately. And it's all about like the mindset. Like, if you ask like US sellers, because most people in the US speak English, like a little bit Spanish, but I don't think a lot of people are actually fluent in Spanish
Yeah.
when it comes to U.S. Population. And then they don't think that content in different languages is important. Sometimes
Mhm.
we had sellers that are like, well, we use Google Translate because we want to have the content in another language of this country where we're selling the product in, but they don't really care. It doesn't make a lot of sense. They're just like, oh, but it is another language, so it's better to have that versus to be left in English. And I don't know if that's actually good, because like even though a lot of people in Europe don't speak English, I think that if you left that in English, then they can use Google Translate, and then it's
Yeah.
their choice to use that. But if you translate this and they go into a listing and they see that this text doesn't have a lot of sense, then they will
Mm.
skip and go to another listing. So I would say, like, if you're like debating whether to use Google Translate Machine or leave it in English, I'd say like leave it in English, because if you put it like in Google Translate, you're just confuse these people and they will like skip and go to the second product. And if they really like it, they will use Google Translate. So if it's confusing, it's still on them because they use machine translation.
Yeah.
But definitely, I cannot emphasize enough how the importance of having content translated to other languages, because this is also how you connect with the audience. But more important than having like a beautifully translated listing, as you can get like from a translator that works on Fiverr, is keywords. Because without keywords, nobody will be able to find this product. And these keywords are different on each marketplace. Even when you compare like the US and the UK marketplace, there are like a lot of differences, even
Mm.
though both of these countries speak English. And we've recently had a seller, and she was selling diapers, diaper bag for like kids'
Mhm.
diapers,
Yeah.
and she just copy pasted her US listing to UK.
Yeah.
And the problem was that she was ranked for diapers in the UK, which is basically a different product, because the
I
word
know.
diapers in the UK means adult diapers, not kids
Yeah. Yeah.
diapers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she was just completely like, it was a complete disaster, and she spent a lot of time and money being
Mm.
ranked for a wrong product. So what usually happens is when people do machine translation, what like Amazon does their translations, like Amazon now sends us clients because they cannot do the translation good enough, because they do the post editing of machine
Mm.
translation. They don't do keyword research or anything, and we're ranked really high, like by Amazon's like service of like how good the translations are. And the thing is that without these keywords, nobody will be able to find your product. And also, you should not translate the keywords, because in the US these would be these keywords, but in the
Yeah.
UK, so we're just talking about the same language, you're not going to have the same keywords even though it's the same language. So just imagine how it is going to be for the German marketplace,
I
for
know.
Mexican, for Japan. So you definitely have to do a keyword research from scratch, and a lot of people still don't do it. They just translate the keywords. So
Yeah.
what basically happens when they launch the product on a new marketplace is that for 6 months, they're like, it's all good, sales are going up. But then 6 months after that time of success, you notice the sales start dropping. And that is most likely going to be because your content doesn't make a lot of sense and you
Yeah.
don't have keywords. This is in 95% of the cases of the listings that we go through, because we do like a bunch of audits.
Yeah.
So this is mostly like we've seen that doesn't work well with
Mm.
other product. That is the thing that
That's
like doesn't.
interesting.
Yes, and then
Okay.
after you fix it, you can see again the spike in sales. And
Okay.
I like to say that like of all of things that are very relevant for your listing, the images are definitely number one, and number two are definitely keywords. And then beautifully written listing, all of that, bunch of other things. So I'm not saying that only keywords will sell your product. There's like bunch of other, it's like a big piece of a puzzle, bunch of
Yeah.
pieces add to like one
For sure.
big Amazon listing. But the keywords are definitely going to help, and you will definitely see some improvement, if not in sales immediately, but you will see an immediate improvement in impressions of relevant keywords for your product.
Yeah.
And what's very interesting is that I've done a bunch of analysis of the competitors with this tool called Data Dive. We really, really
Mm.
like to use it. And
Very nice. Yeah.
from what I found out is that you can be like fantastically big seller in the UK or US or whatever your home market is. But then once you expand internationally, you're not doing that great of a job. And so what I did is like I did this testing of like I think it was like German marketplace in French, and I did like top 7, 8 products, like best selling products on both marketplaces, and we compared about 15 competitors per product. And what
Okay.
I've seen is that no matter how competitive this product is and how much money everybody's making in this category, only 4, and this is the most competitors that we've seen do a good job out of
Yeah.
15,
Mm.
only for one product, I think it was Wet Brush, out of 15 competitors, only 4 were doing something good with their content. So 11 other competitors, no matter how good they were, doing, they were not Chinese sellers, they were actual European US sellers. They were not doing a great job with their content, their keywords, which gave you an opportunity
A gap
to
in the
get
market,
ahead
basically.
and
Yeah.
just basically, get ahead of them in their content game, the keywords. There's so many opportunities that they were not exploiting because a lot of sellers don't speak this language, so they don't actually care how their content sounds in foreign marketplaces. And for other top sellers, it was like maybe 2 competitors that actually knew what they were doing. So
Yeah.
just imagine entering this marketplace and having a really good optimized content that on a content level you can get better than them. You can like rank as top 3 100% because all of the other competitors don't have a lot of keywords. Do they have good keywords? And a lot of them are not using the ones that know what they're doing. They are missing out on a lot of potentially good keywords. For instance, like there was also like a lunchbox, like as a product, and then there are like a lot of lunch boxes that kids could use. Like a lot of
Yeah.
products, like lunch boxes, are not entitled for the kids, especially. But there were a lot of lunch boxes that had like little flowers or like Disney
It's
characters, or they were like designed for kids.
yeah.
And neither of them was using the lunchbox kids in French marketplace. And then if your lunchbox had like like the kids like a decoration or whatever on a drawings,
Yeah.
nobody's using it, like none, nothing in titles, nothing in bullets.
Wow.
And you could be using it on the French marketplace, and it's also a very highly competitive product.
Yeah.
And there's so many different opportunities for
Yeah.
products like that, especially if it's like a highly competitive niche. Don't be scared because you do have a lot of competitors, because there are, and like as I said, I think in almost every niche there is an
Yeah.
opportunity
They're
for
gonna
you to
have
get
come.
ahead, just
Yeah.
because the content is in foreign language. And I was really blown away by that fact, because I was like, yeah, maybe this is just like this one product. And then I started like comparing like 7, 8, 9 top best-selling products in that marketplace, and this is the conclusion that I got from the end, and I was just really, really surprised.
Yeah, yeah, I think all those tips are amazing. I love the fact that you bring to the table the gaps in terms of these keywords that most of the people have in phrase match on their title, things like that, which data dive can help you with that.
Yeah.
And I think on top of that, a lot of people may ask this question to themselves as well, which they might say, okay, Jana, I totally agree with you. I love the fact that we need to use the right keyword. We need to find these phrases and basically, enter these gaps into the market. But some people might also think that before I do this investment and go to all these countries, how do I know my product can actually succeed on those marketplaces? Because we know sometimes products, which I bet you see on a daily basis, sometimes they don't succeed because of culture barriers,
Absolutely.
religions, things like that. So usually when you work with your clients and you provide them with advice in terms of maybe even if you use the right keyword, your product might not succeed because this or this and this. What are some of those tips you usually provide to clients when jumping?
Yeah. So that's a question that I get a lot. I mean, I call it like $1 million question, because if I had the answer to that, I'll just like tell you. But we've recently started offering this report that will actually tell you if this product is going to be successful or not. So what you can do yourself is like you can go to the Seller Central, and they're offering this, like it's some sort of like a opportunity, like for your product, and then you can see the
Yeah.
sales, you can see
Yeah.
the demand, so you can just like see like, okay, is this like a good marketplace or not? So what you should not do, what a lot of sellers do, is just like, oh, let's just go to Germany or let's just go to France. Like they
Random.
never
Yeah.
do,
Yeah.
just like, sounds good because it's a big marketplace, but they never do the due diligence. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be a best-selling product, and it will cost you a lot. And you just really need to do the due diligence, which you can do yourself as well. So I recommend going to Seller Central and then going to the opportunity report, just not a report, but like to see like the sales, to see like the demand, to see if the audience want your product. Then what I would also do is like I would do the research a little bit. Let's say I want to sell in Germany, then I would take the keyword and then do a little research, see the search volume. If the search volume is like 200 or 300, then
Yeah.
probably that's not worth going to
Mm.
be worth on your investment. They're going to be like pretty low ROI on that. So I would just like check the search volume. Definitely, I would then check your competitors. I would do the analysis of your competitors, see like how well they're doing. As I said, I don't think competitors should be a big problem on a foreign marketplace. So let's say that competitors, maybe like 2, 3 top competitors. Then you check the
Mm-hmm.
pricing, and then you just see like what is it, like a seasonal product. There's just like a lot of things that you can do on your own, and you can definitely check if the audience is going to buy this product. You can go to like Facebook groups, like for instance, like
Yeah.
if you want to sell a product in Japan, it's a really, really tricky marketplace, but you can
Yeah.
find like expert groups, and ask Japanese, for instance, Japanese people, be like, hey, would you like to buy this product,
Mm.
and are you like an Amazon Prime subscriber, for instance? And then you can ask them, and they'll be just like, hey, so I won't buy this product if 10 of them say no, or like if the 50 of them said yeah, then it's a green light for you, and then you can start thinking about this product. Like this is like a little bit of the DIY you can do on your own.
Yeah.
And there are some like guidelines that will be like, okay, so I think I should launch on this marketplace. But we've had a seller, for instance, and he was selling Mr. and Mrs. T-shirts, and he
Yeah.
wanted to sell this in Germany. He was actually selling this already in Germany, and he came to us. He was like, okay, like, can you check like my listings?
Mm.
Are they well optimized? Everything was fine. The keywords were there. Search volume was not specifically high. But
Mm-hmm.
then I just got the idea to ask my German team, and all of them said, no, we would not buy this product because this is not something that we like. Like, this
The
is not
German
something
people
that we
do.
find.
Yeah. Yeah.
This will not, like, Germans don't kind of like these things.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I went back to the seller and was like, you know what? I just don't think it's a good fit because I don't think the audience likes it. There's
Yeah.
nothing you've done, like there's nothing wrong you've done. You've worked great, like we worked with your listing, you've like enhanced your images, localized them, keywords, everything. But sometimes it's just not a great fit. And
Mm-hmm.
this is what you should find out before you start expanding.
Yeah.
I would never suggest someone expand just because on expansion's sake, or
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because like, oh yes, we're definitely going to increase our revenues to just sell everywhere. You still need to do the due diligence, which the majority of sellers, also the very successful sellers, don't do.
Yeah.
And so this is how you can basically do a great bit of homework and basically get ahead in the very early start. Because
Yeah.
I've just also told you that a lot of these sellers, they don't even know why they have
I know.
expanded, what they have expanded.
I know. That happens to me a
So
lot.
it's
Yeah.
all about the mindset. It's all about these things that are pretty obvious to me. But from what I've realized, like talking to so many different sellers, is that sellers don't think about that. And
Yeah.
this is your edge. If you're listening to this and if you're wondering to expand or not, this is your edge, because a lot of the thoughts like running through your mind and like how I should do this, maybe you should like do the market research, do
Mm-hmm.
it, because a lot of your competitors have not done this ever.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
And now I want to go back to something that you mentioned, and I think this is very good thing that we bring back to the table, which is localization, right?
Mhm.
And you also gave us the example of your German team, right? So
Yeah.
basically, my question is, would you then advise when you're looking for localization of your product in any given country to use a team that has some kind of people that is from that country, understand that culture? Because I feel like even if you're an expert on in that language and you speak it fluently and all of that, maybe if you have never lived in that country, you are gonna struggle to do the localization, right? Maybe.
Absolutely. So this is also what I personally had to battle with. So when we first started about 4 years ago, I, as a professional translator, I know tons of other professional translators,
Yeah.
which do a great job when it comes to translating like agreements and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But like because like product listing is your sales copy. You're trying to sell your
Yeah.
product in a nice way. So US style is like very salesy and fluffy, and that style doesn't work in German. Like you cannot sell that same style and sell the same product in the same way that you're selling it in the US. Just
Yeah.
gonna be like, hey,
No.
like look at this, like
I know.
like
I
having
know.
this like emotional
Yeah.
language and like
They
stuff like
don't.
that.
They don't work like that. Yeah.
No, no, no. They really like don't like that. Also, like let's say in Japan, that's very tricky because like you don't like a lot of listings are just like literate translation of the source text, like word by word.
I
And
see.
like let's say a lot of competitors on one problem we did an audit. A lot of the competitors are doing a much better job than this specific seller because they're using more of the customer oriented expressions. There are
Mm.
a bunch
More
of ways
informal, basically.
how
Yeah.
to be polite in Japan and like how to speak in that
Yeah.
manner, and sellers don't know that. There are like so many nuances in a language that you need to understand and feel it. And if you
Yeah.
haven't, first of all, lived in that country, you can be an amazing translator, but
Yeah.
there's like this fine nuance that you will not have, which is called localization,
Yeah.
understanding how the target audience feels and thinks.
Mm.
And also, number two is you will not be able to fit those keywords into the natural flow of the language
Yeah.
because that will stir it up a little bit. And a translator that hasn't had that like nuance, like just like slightly higher feel of the language, you might
Doesn't know
think
how to
it's
connect the dots,
nothing,
basically.
but it is.
Yeah.
It's a lot more. So localization is very, very important. And also, and the number three is that your translator that you hire, they need to have a copywriting / marketing sales experience. Because if you
Mm.
hire someone who's done a lot of medical translation,
Mm.
law, like contracts, I don't know, like something which is not related
Traditional.
with
Yeah.
sales, traditional more one, they will not have what it takes because this type of translation involves a little bit of also like it's called
Sales
like
page.
it's
You
called,
need to.
yeah, sales pitch. It's also called like transcreation. You need to create a little bit parts, like a little
Mm.
bit of copywriting as well. Like a sentence that says, "These espresso glasses will remind you of your grandma when a childhood playing in front of the fireplace." In the U.S., in
Yeah.
German, you would say thermo-isolated glass because
Yeah.
it means it doesn't burn your fingers. So get to the point. Don't just go on
I
rambling about
see what
your,
you mean.
like
Yeah.
reviving your childhood memories and stuff like that. Like people don't like that. So you have to have the sense and the feel to it. And
Interesting.
not all translators have that. So you have to be very, very careful of who you choose to work with. That is the most essential thing because translations, I mean, my company is called YLT Translations, but I mean, it's not translations. It's more than that. But this is, let's
Yeah.
say, like the broadest term I could add.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like more of like we create a listing and localize them so they translate into your sales. This is
Yeah.
basically how a person that you work with should be. And that's
Awesome.
it.
Very
Yeah.
nice. Okay, very good. Yeah, I love it. I think the localization part is super important because I feel I see that mistake a lot. Like people say, okay, I'm full fluent, but they don't have that thing that
Yeah.
you're mentioning, which is the
Oh,
sales
and
pitch
also,
and
I
also.
just remember you're are you Italian?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, so I just remember there was A plus content, and there was like this US seller. He was selling pasta,
Okay.
and so the text in A plus content says pasta like in Bella Italia, like that's like the
Okay.
text was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So for US person, that means like, oh, it's like the genuine Italian pasta.
Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
wanted to sell this in Italy, and so what does Bella Italia mean to an Italian?
Nothing.
Right? Doesn't mean
Yeah.
anything. So it doesn't mean
Yeah.
like what is it? So we just changed that. So it said pasta like your nonna, like your grandma used to make.
Which connects more to
Which
like
connects more to
nonna
like genuine
family
pasta, like
cooking.
family,
Yeah.
handmade, like quality and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
that's also a really good example of localization because you cannot, like sell Bella Italia to an Italian person because it
Yeah.
would just not make any sense, and it'll probably mean, this is some like, it's not a great product since they're using the word Bella Italia. It's not genuine Italian. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that's a very good example, by the way. Yeah, very good one. Now let's actually also start talking about. I mean, we already mentioned a lot of the mistakes people is doing, but I would like to, see if there is any other huge mistake you see people doing when expanding. I mean, we already touched localization and not using the keywords, but is there something else you feel people is still doing a lot and is definitely harming them when doing this expansion to their marketplaces based on your experience?
Yeah, so definitely number one is like not doing the market research at all, not doing keywords, doing Google Translate. Also, just I would say that they're like doing their content immediately and then waiting for VAT numbers like 6 months
I
later,
know, I
because
know.
that content really changes,
Changes.
keywords change in time. Maybe some new rules will be introduced during that time. So this is like something that you should do like probably like a month before you launch the product. This is also something that people don't like. They don't have the steps, like you should like write down, open this notepad, write down the steps, like how it goes. If you don't know how it goes, like, I'm happy to help with that. But it's also something that like people just do it like other way around. It's just like it's just ridiculous. But I would say just like overall problem is that people think that if they have a best-selling product, it's going to be best-selling on
Big
all the
one, yeah.
marketplaces. Yeah.
Mm.
And I have like a really talking about, the culture and how like one country lives by and like what they have and what people don't have in another country. Very interesting product that I found. It's a portable AC, the little like plastic like little
Yeah.
box. And by frequency search term in the US, it's like, I don't know, like 1,700 place or something. But in Germany, it's in top 10 search terms, especially during summer. Because what's very interesting is that in Germany, you don't have like ACs in buildings and
I
houses
know.
because
Italy
the
is the same.
climate, the climate was not this hot as it was like 10 years ago. So people are searching more and more about like other solutions, like how to cool off like during summertime.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
if you're having this failing product in the US, it might be a winning product in Germany, for instance. But as
I
I
know.
said, all you have to do is like go to brand analytics and see the search frequency search term. And even if you compared Valentine's, for instance, like in different countries, you'll be surprised that like in Spain, there are not that many Valentine gifts search
Yeah.
phrases. Versus like US or UK, Japan doesn't even have any. They only have like
Yeah.
anime keywords like in
Yeah, yeah,
February
I
and stuff
know.
like that. So it's quite different. And the thing is that you can do it like everything I've just mentioned. You can go and try out yourself. It's not that difficult. That like this is something that's impossible
Yeah.
to do. So I should, I just always advise people going and trying that themselves. And then maybe there's like something they're not comfortable doing, that, you can reach out and get this, get help with this. But usually this is something that you can do on your own, and it's not going to take you a lot of time.
Yeah.
So these are like the top things that
Good.
I always, mention that people don't think about. Very
Yeah.
basic, but nobody thinks about them.
No, I know. I mean, they're awesome. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. Awesome. So I think, yeah, I mean, to be honest, I love this episode. I feel everything that has to do with translation and localization is super important nowadays. And whenever we also do audits and we see a product failing, most of the time it is to do with that. So super important.
Yeah,
And I
content.
appreciate, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I just
super.
remembered one good thing could be a good tip, like to close it off with that. So, in the US, like you have like a lot of like big Hispanic population, and then of course it's always advised to put the Spanish keywords in backends.
Yeah.
And then I get a question like, what if in France, like should we use, I don't know, this or that, or like in Germany should we use like other language? So what I think is that if you do the keyword research or the main keyword and like your competitors and all of that, and if like a keyword shows up that maybe whoever in your team speaks German and he doesn't understand, it's probably going to be a different language. We've had a situation that people see Turkish keywords in, this is what people search for in Germany.
It's a big population there.
Yes, for specific products. So if you see some like, weird languages popping up, then put it in the backends. It doesn't necessarily have to mean like, oh, rule of thumb is that if it's Germany, I don't use any other language. No, if you see, even if it's Italian and you see like, I don't know, don't know, another language,
Mm,
which is not something that
mm,
you see often in those results, definitely pick those, whatever these languages are, and put them in backends because they're obviously being searched on that marketplace. And it's weird to put them in front end listing, but definitely they have high search volume, put them always in backends.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah. Also, like in Canada, it's like French. You have
French,
a lot of French
exactly.
ones. So
Yes,
yeah, very good tip.
exactly.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, it would be awesome as well if you can share where people can find you, because I'm pretty sure now people that have all these tips from you, maybe they want to reach out and get the services directly from you. So how can people find you and get in contact with you if they're looking for
Sure.
translations and these services? Yeah.
Absolutely. So I always recommend everyone to add me on LinkedIn
Mm-hmm.
or Facebook, but LinkedIn is my preferable channel. And you can also like our Loyalty Translations page on LinkedIn or Facebook because we share like bunch of updates and like we're always like trying to keep up like with all the Amazon new like rules and bunch of things happening all the time. And if you like any of the advices and tips that I've shared, I do a lot of videos and posts about this and on LinkedIn, and I always try to be like I always try to be like in top 1-2% of like the relevant people when it
Yeah,
comes to
always are.
international
Yeah.
expansion. Yeah. So if you like the content that I shared today, just follow me on LinkedIn and reach out if you have any questions. If you like an audit or report or opportunity, review of your product, just hit me up and I'll be happy to share everything I have and improve your listings if possible.
Awesome. I'm gonna make sure to put all the links down in the description. Yeah.
Yeah,
So thank you very
absolutely.
much for coming, and it's been a pleasure. Okay. Looking forward to
Thank you so
having a
much for
future
having
one.
me.
Okay.
Great talking to
Bye
you.
bye.
Take care.
Take care.